This is Panorama at Praxis Modular, where we discuss developments, opportunities, and insights into the latest technology and trends in the modular construction industry.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Panorama podcast. Today on the show, we have Kazim Aya, the Chief Technology Officer, CTO of Praxis Modular, a modular construction company based here in New York City. Kaz, thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
So let's just jump right into it. Kaz, could you tell us a little bit about your background and how you started in modular construction?
Well, my background is actually robotic automation, and I started making machines, building automation, and I have built many plants in the past in the automotive industry, in the aviation, defense, furniture, all sorts of industries. Modular construction is new for me. I've been building, planning, designing systems for modular construction for a year now. So my new role in Praxis is to implement those new automation ideas.
And so from a technology standpoint, how has tech made modular construction at scale possible in recent years?
Well, here's the thing. The modular industry is actually taking a conventional building and dividing up into modules and then building those modules under a roof. So it has its own advantages because now you're not affected by the weather, timing, savings on materials, etc., etc. But modular itself has not been, let's say, modularized. So technology today is building these modules under a roof using conventional construction methods, 2x4s, drywall, mud, paint, sand. So our system is going to automate all of this. Think of it this way. Before Model T, cars were built by coach builders one at a time. Until Henry Ford came and said, that's not how we're going to do this. We're going to make standard parts and then we're going to assemble them in an assembly line. So we are at that stage now. The modular construction has been the coach builders, if you want to make the analogy. Now we're shifting into Model T. We're going to make them like we make cars. My background is building automotive plants, robotic automation in the automotive world. So we will be employing those know-hows into the modular construction.
Interesting. So modular is at a point of disruption, kind of where it intersects with technology.
Absolutely. Today's technology, as far as software, is quite advanced. Automation technology, robotics is very advanced. They just have not been applied yet. So we are at that juncture that we will employ what is already being done.
What are some of the tech components or roles that tech plays within a modular build that a lot of people may not know about?
There's a lot of new technologies coming in on the software side of things. Now, software can actually create generative design. It can actually create buildings. From there, we can create components. Those components can be automatically sent to the plant to make into elements. Those elements come into components. Those components become assemblies. The assemblies become a big box. And then those boxes go to the job site and becomes a building.
I know that it's an industry that's evolving rapidly. There's a lot of innovation. So what are some of the more futuristic aspects of modular that are in the works that you think could materialize in coming years?
There are few modular companies that are using robotics, but they are not fully integrated and they're not, how should I say, from A to Z automated. They are just, you do an A here and a C there and a P there, and then it becomes, we're going to do A to Z fully automatic. In the automation world, it's called lights out automation. Obviously, the components and the issues involved in a construction makes it extremely difficult. But if you take that as your goal and try to automate in that direction, that's what we're going to be doing.
So, Kaz, AI is a very popular buzzword in the technology space. You have a really deep background in technology. Is AI something that you see eventually playing a role in modular builds or in construction more broadly?
Eventually, it will. Right now, AI is also in its infancy, but we should not expect any miraculous, magical powers. Basically, all it is a lot of data that computers go through using algorithms. What makes it intelligent is the person who programmed that algorithm to go through the data. As our computers are getting more powerful every day, as we collect more data every day, we will reach a point that we will be able to generate some useful purposes. One of it could be the generative design. In other words, you give the shape and the location of the land, and then you tell it what kind of building you're looking for, and then the thing starts designing the building, and then once the building is designed, it goes to manufacturing, etc. We're not there yet. There are several companies who are working on it. Some are closer than others, but I'm sure in the future, as we get more computing power, we will eventually get there.
Does robotics play any role in the assembly of a modular unit?
Absolutely. We are using robotics to do everything from cutting, welding, assembling, and the robots are controlled by their internal programs, and plus they're controlled by PLCs. Those are industrial computers that run the systems. And those systems are connected directly to the ERP system of the company. So once a purchase order is placed, it automatically generates the data that it needs to manufacture that module. I like to make one point clear. In modular building, we are not a construction company, we are a manufacturing company. There's a big difference between constructing and manufacturing. In manufacturing, everything we make has to be standardized, has to be identical, has to be built to certain specifications, tolerances, quality, etc., etc. No different than building a car. Of today's cars has certain specifications, tolerances, and we are doing the same thing, except what we're making is a big box instead of a vehicle that rolls down the road.
What are some of the ways that you think technology could continue to disrupt modular in the future? What are the untapped opportunities that you think are out there?
Well, like I said, the software is the key, and replacing the dangerous, repetitive tasks, taking it away from humans, replacing it with robots. Robots don't get tired. Robots don't make mistakes. So that is the new wave. But here's the thing. Everybody thinks, well, robots going to take our jobs away. No, they're not going to take the jobs away. This is no different than in the 1940s. 40% of the workforce was in the farming field. And when we brought in machinery, they said, oh my God, we're going to lose all those jobs. Now, the farming is still same farming, except done with 5% of the workforce instead of 40% of the workforce. So the people in the industry, in any industry where robotics and automation is involved, they are just going to evolve from a guy putting A into B into a guy who programs the robot that puts it A into B.
So you made an interesting point about robots being able to reduce the mistakes that are made during the building process. So can you speak at all to how technology actually improves the safety of these builds?
Yes, robots do the same thing over and over, and they do the dangerous things. Things that are dangerous for humans are no issue for robots, except we have to provide safety around robots. The humans and robots don't get along very well. The robots are dangerous. The safeties need to be built around it. And everything we do, safety comes first. I have one big principle. I do not compromise on safety no matter what. So safety is first. Then the robots do the delicate things, precision things. They do dangerous things, hot, cold, heavy. all those things can be done by robots. When I say robots, don't expect some magical creature. It isn't. It's a machine like anything else. It's just a manipulator that is controlled with motors that are programmed to do certain movements. That's all. So if the program tells the robot to do something, that is exactly what it's going to do. It's not going to do something outside of that. If it does something that you did not expect, you probably did not program it correctly.
Well, Kaz, it's been great having you on the show. We always like to close out the interview with a more personal question to help listeners get to know you better.
Mm-hmm.
So what's something that you could share that you enjoy doing outside of modular construction?
I love inventing things. So I'm constantly designing, inventing things in my head and then putting them on paper. But as a hobby, I'm a sailor, skydiver, scuba diver. So I do high adrenaline sports.
I love it. That's awesome. Well, thanks, Kaz, for being here on the show today. Everybody who's tuning in, thanks for listening to the Panorama podcast by DMG Investments, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
That concludes this episode of the Panorama podcast at Praxis Modular. Thank you very much for listening.